Hi, in case you didn't know, my name's Gavin Hetler, and I'm going to be illustrating a time in my life that I refer to as second semester physics. So for me, first semester was not too hard. It consisted of topics that revolved around three things: time, distance, and speed. Using just one of these units would unlock a whole plethora of new ideas, of which I had little trouble comprehending. I spent some of my time doing the work, but when I was done, I'd goof around with my friends, collectively known as the Bruh Corner. By the time second semester rolled around, the Bruh Corner had already dwindled down. A very important member, Ashton Ellis, had moved to Tennessee. So on the first day, when I walked into class, I was pretty sad, but I kind of put it in the back of my mind and just talked to my friends until the tardy bell rang. So after that, our teacher, Mr. L, made his way to the front of the room to make an announcement. He told us that we have a huge semester-long project. He explained some details, but basically the flow of the rest of the second semester was up to the class. He wished us the best of luck and told us there would be guest speakers coming in the next few days to teach us some more. I had a lot of ideas coming to my mind. I was thinking I wanted to do something basketball related, since I have a lot of love for the game, but I still wasn't quite sure what I would be doing, since I had some other ideas too. So, the guest speakers came in over the next few days, but one stuck out to me. A girl named Ronnie told us that she organized a softball/baseball camp for kids and collected sponsors even as big as Kroger. I was inspired by her enthusiasm for sports and made me determined to reach my end goal of a 3-on-3 basketball tournament. I thought of this a lot over the entire course of the second semester, but especially at this beginning part, because I wanted to put together something similar to Ronnie's, where I went and collected sponsors and just had a big thing at the school. After the guest speakers left, 2 members of the Bruh Corner dropped the class because they were frankly scared of this whole second semester thing and the big project. While I was sad that my friends were gone, it inspired me to work harder and prove that anything is possible. The next day, I reported to Mr. L to tell him my topic for the project. With a grin on my face, I told him the physics of dunking.
Stares of a million pairs of eyes, looking hard but won't realize that they will never see the P.
So this whole concept of a semester-long project was pretty new to me. So the first day of independent research was slow. I felt lost. I kind of knew what I wanted to do, but I didn't know where to start. So I opened up Google and I searched how to calculate jump height. I then scrolled through a bunch of what felt like nonsense, because there's a bunch of websites just showing me things that were not too helpful. So I decided to go back to the basics. I realized that all I really needed to do was go back to the equations that we had practiced all of semester 1 in physics, but there's one really important equation called the projectile motion equation, and this helped me a lot during my entire project. After figuring this out, I learned don't overcomplicate things so much. Just simplify everything, it'll be a whole lot easier. By the time I figured this out, Mr. L came to the front of the class and gave new instructions. We were to display our research at a science teachers convention called the Hasty Convention. We had to dress nicely, act professional, and we only had 1 week to get the presentation together. So, of course, I was kind of panicking because I didn't have a lot of research done, even though I felt like I had done a lot. For the next couple of days, I researched things such as elasticity and forces. After that, I neatly compiled my research onto a presentation board, and before I knew it, it was presentation day. I wore my best clothes and made my hair nicely to look as presentable as possible. So there I am at the Hasty Convention in my suit and tie, walking up there, and I see the rest of the classes there before me, so I was kind of nervous. But then whenever I got in there, finally talked to my first couple of people, and I was pretty nervous about it. I felt kind of awkward and tense, but after they left, I told myself to relax and just be cool. Just be calm with them. They're also just people. They're human beings. They're adults. They're not really going to overthink things too much. So this helped me the rest of the day go by pretty fast, and before I knew it, my time was over, and I had already told a bunch of different people about my project and maybe enlightened them on something they didn't know about, or they even taught me some things that I didn't even think of, and it guided me throughout the rest of my project on where I should go. So at the very end of the convention, a guy named Tyler approached me, and I refer to him as Tyler the mentor because he was my very first mentor. He gave me a business card, told me to talk to him about my project, and he can help me go in the right direction. I was kind of surprised about this, and I felt pretty special because not a whole lot of other people had mentors at the time, until I looked in the back, and there's Mr. L, and he basically tells me that he set up the whole thing, told Tyler to come talk to me. But regardless of whether I was actually special or not, I felt like the whole Hasty convention was a success. I gained a lot of knowledge out of the whole thing, as well as a new mentor, which I was looking forward to getting in touch with Tyler. So basically, the next couple of weeks were kind of weird for me. There's not exactly one word that can describe those couple of weeks. It was just odd. I knew there was more research to be done, but I needed help. I started thinking about who could help me, then it hit me. Tyler the mentor may have some answers. So I sent him an email, and I was looking for some guidance on what I should do, where I should go next with my project. He didn't really have a lot of knowledge to share with me, but he did say that Ball State has a very good biomechanics department, which fell right in place with my project. I took note of this, but Tyler still was not much of a help, so I looked a different direction, towards someone named Zane Fakes, who is actually the son of a teacher at Cascade. He's a strength coach who had worked with NBA and NFL players during his career. I'm not sure if he's still working with them as of today. However, anyone who has basically coached NBA or NFL players probably knows what they're talking about, and so I figured I could learn a little bit from him. But really, everything he told me was things that I had found on the internet before, so it wasn't the best help. So I decided to do some research on my own, and I was looking around, just doing some things on my own. I still wasn't quite sure exactly where I should go with my project. And then I remembered what Tyler told me about Ball State. So whenever I remembered that, I was like, okay, what can I do? I looked around on Google. I found actually the head of the biomechanics program. I thought about emailing someone underneath him, but I was like, you know what? I'll just reach out to the main guy. His name was Dr. Dickin. So I told him who I was, what I was doing, and after messaging for a day or two, we planned a trip for me and a couple of friends to make a visit to Ball State. So basically, just a little thing I want to add in here. The whole scenario with the mentors taught me to never give up, keep on trying until I've reached satisfaction with what I'm doing. While at the beginning, I thought Tyler wasn't the most useful guy, when I look back at it, and if it weren't for him, I would have never had the Ball State trip. So he actually helped me a lot. So when I planned the trip to Ball State, I only had about a week before it was time to go there. I spent that week doing miscellaneous things, as well as recruiting some friends to go with me. I ended up getting my best friend Carter and Evan, who are also a part of the Broad Corner, to come along. So the day of the trip, we all met up in the school parking lot, and we headed to Muncie. It was about an hour and a half drive, and we didn't know who was going to drive, and then Carter stepped up and said that he would. So this whole scenario was just kind of annoying, trying to plan the whole thing, but it worked out. It was kind of stressful too, because I didn't have much time to plan everything and get everyone on board, but it all worked out. Carter and Evan came along. So on the way to Muncie, we actually made a few wrong turns, made a pit stop and got some donuts. But before we knew it, it was about an hour and a half, and we were there. We were there at Ball State. But whenever we went into Dr. Dickens' room, I remember the time Mr. L told us to dress very nicely whenever we went there, but Dr. Dickens wasn't even dressed that nicely. He showed us around the lab and told us about each machine and its use. One that stood out was called the Pro Vibe, which is a platform that rapidly shakes, and this vibration actually enhances your reflexes, which was pretty cool. But the most impressive feature of the lab was the 3D force analyzing system. I don't know the name of it, but it basically just analyzes forces. There's cameras circled around the room recording a person in a suit, and the cameras would track the movements in real time while pressure plates in the floor calculated force vectors. So my goal of the trip was to learn more about biomechanics, and I feel like I did, but I still wanted to know more whenever I left. I felt like I was empty-handed whenever I left, but basically everything was a lot more simple than I thought it was. Using the one equation that I showed you guys before, I could basically do everything. Not to mention, after that, basketball practice was horrible, so never overload yourself in one day like that. It's just not the best idea, and definitely a lesson I learned. So the next week, I began a new sport, track. So I was training for high jump, and I carried over some of the things I learned about jumping, which helped me. I cleared 5.6 my first day, which taught me that things I learned in school can be applied to the outside world. Having done so good at track practice, I was feeling good about myself, until something happened that changed my entire life, as well as literally everyone's life, which is coronavirus. At the time, we thought school would resume after spring break, so I put a hold on my whole project. Then, eventually, sometime in early April, it was announced that school was going to be canceled for the entire year, and I was shook. I didn't really know what to do, so I put a hold on the whole project. I didn't know what to do about the 3v3 tournament until I heard the plan from Mr. L. He basically just told the class in an email to finish everything up online, turn in a 15-minute video presentation, which you are watching right now. So for the longest time, I didn't know what to do for my final product, especially with the 3v3 tournament being off limits. So I came up with the idea to make 2 videos giving young athletes tips and tricks on how to get their first dunk. These videos actually took a long time to make because I'm not the best in front of a camera, and I'm not also the best at editing, but I think they turned out alright. Uploaded them to YouTube and sent them to Mr. L. So to wrap up the semester, I gathered all the research and resources I had acquired and shared it with Mr. L. So, all in all, this semester felt like a roller coaster to me. I learned to adapt to new and confusing situations and make the best out of it. Finishing strong like this has really helped me prepare for college, which will probably be online for at least one semester, or even my whole freshman year, which is really, really scary to think about it. I'm pretty nervous, not gonna lie, for what the future holds, but I think I'm prepared to take on any challenge thrown my way by the school and the real world. After doing all this, I feel like I can accomplish anything. I can genuinely say that without going through the obstacles of semester 2 physics, I will not be as comfortable heading into the next chapter of my life. So I have to give props to Mr. L and this project that he put together for everybody, which has definitely helped me, and I hope it has helped everyone else as well. So this is the end of my presentation, and even though it's been a lot of hard work and a lot of stress that I've gone through with this whole project, I'm pretty sad that I have to turn it in now because it's been a lot of work that's gone into it, and also it means that high school is over for me. So one thing I'd like to just tell everyone who is not a senior is never take any day for granted at school, because you're going to miss it one day. I didn't think I'd miss it that much when I heard everything was going to be over, but it turns out I did. So I wish that I didn't take certain days for granted when I was sitting there in class just twiddling my thumbs. I wish I would have lived it up and just had a lot more fun with it, because you never know when things will actually truly be over. But with all that being said, thank you to Mr. L and the rest of my classmates for inspiring me to be the best version of me as possible. If it weren't for you guys, I will not be here, and I could not have gotten all this done. Even if you didn't notice it, or even if I was sitting quietly at my desk, you guys actually helped me get everything done. So thank you, and good luck to next year's seniors. Never lose sight of what's important, and never stop chasing your dreams. Good luck to all of you.